Welcome back to Atlanta to Dallas Aviation. Well, so far, except for my intro video, all of my videos have been unboxing. So I thought I'd change it up a little bit today and do a fleet video. And in alphabetical order, Aer Lingus is my first airline. And so my fleet of Aer Lingus is kind of interesting. It dates back some time. I like Aer Lingus because I just like the colors. So you know, whatever your reason for collecting is, it all makes sense to each individual. So I have a whole bunch of different manufacturers for Aer Lingus. I think I cover most of the biggies, or at least the biggies that used to be. So we'll just go ahead and get started. So technically, this ATR here, Aer Lingus Regional, it is not exactly Aer Lingus, the main carrier, but it's still an Aer Lingus colors, and it flies for Aer Lingus. So I thought instead of having a totally separate video on that, it gets lumped in with Aer Lingus. So this is probably, this is the newest model for all my Aer Linguses, and it came from Gemini Jets, and its item number is Golf Juliet, Echo India November 2076, and its name, I'm going to get these names all probably not going to pronounce a single one of these correctly, but I'm going to try. So this one's name is Saint Ida, not sure exactly the right pronunciation. And it's in the current Aer Lingus livery. And its registration is Echo India Golf Papa Papa. Now, there had been some quality issues with this particular one. Several YouTubers have gotten them broken, or the cockpit windows. Now, I will have to say the cockpit windows don't look quite right, but some people have gotten them really bad. So I'm okay with the one that I have, and nothing else came broken, so, or at least detached. So I'm pretty happy with this release. So anyway, so moving on to the next one. So I have these from largest, I'm sorry, from smallest to largest, but also time in a timeline. So like if I have two of the same aircraft like I do with this, you'll see the older livery first and then the newer livery second. Now this one is also Gemini Jets, and it is, make sure I got the right one, so a BAE 146. Its registration is Echo India Charlie Sierra Lima, and his item number is Golf Juliet Echo India November 765, and named Saint Cormac, and this is in the quote 90s livery. It was a very nice model, as you can see here. Alright, and then we move on to the more updated version of this livery, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole airplane. Alright, this one is also Gemini jets, and it would the packaging actually didn't call it a BAE 146. It actually called it the more updated RJ-85. Its registration is Echo India Romeo Juliet India, and its item number is Golf Juliet Echo India November 1885, and its name is Saint Modwina. Again, I'm probably going to butcher all these. And then he's in the most current livery. Now I'm not even sure if Aer Lingus is flying these anymore. But it did at least make it to the most current livery. So there we have that one. Zoom out a little bit more because now we're getting a little bit bigger airplane. All right. So here, so this one's going to be interesting. This might be my oldest Aer Lingus model. This one's actually Dragon Wings. So for those of y'all who haven't been around collecting for a while, you may not be all that familiar with Dragon Wings, but back in the day it was Dragon Wings and Gemini Jets. Gemini Jets was the new one on the block, and then Dragon Wings was the main manufacturer of the 1/400 scale, and they don't do too many 400 scale models anymore. But anyway, again, this is Dragon Wings. It's an A321-200 with fence tips, and its registration is Echo India Charlie Papa Charlie. And its item number is 55076, and its name is Saint Fergus. I actually think I pronounced that one right. So Saint Fergus. He is obviously also in the previous livery before the most recent one, and he's definitely pretty close. If he's not the oldest one I have, he's at least second oldest. And for those of you not familiar with Dragon Wings, as you might be able to tell, there's not a ton of detail on this model. I'm even going to turn it just a little bit so you can kind of see the side here. Not a lot of extra detail, just pretty much the bare minimum. Wings, engines, vertical and horizontal stabilizers, and even the gear are all plastic, where the main body is actually the only thing that's metal. And you can also see, particularly on the nose gear, it appears to be fairly long. There's no gear doors. And even though the gear is the gear strut itself is white, which I don't think is accurate at all. It should be at least gray. And you can also see that the nose gear tires are pretty chunky. They're like the same size as the main gear tires. So it's not a super great model, but it's nice to have. And so the other thing I like to show you on here, you can probably see this line where the horizontal stabilizer connects to the fuselage. That's one piece that used to slide it would just slide right in there. So that's why there is a line right here that goes to the back. I'm not sure how well you can see it in the video, but so that one, still glad to have it, and but just kind of goes to show they did not do a good job of keeping up with Gemini jets, which was back then. Gemini jets just coming on the scene was putting out all metal, much more detail, and just everything was better about Gemini jets than Dragon Wings. So and Dragon Wings did not adapt. So even though Dragon Wings is still around, they still put out some, well, it's mostly space aircraft, if you will, and a few military things in this scale, but they don't really have any commercial anymore. And so they've kind of gone the way of the Dodo, even though you can still get them out there on the secondhand market. All right, so moving on from that one, we have a more recent one. This is NG models, so that's exciting. So this is probably the best quality model of all the models that I have out here, and this one's in, as you can see, the most current livery. And this one is the A321neo. Its registration is Echo India Lima Romeo Alpha, and its item number is November Golf 13001, and its name is Saint Rowan, R-O-W-A-N, and again, like I said, in the current livery and on the vastly superior NG A321 mold. And I will probably have to say, probably doesn't need to be said, but this is definitely my favorite model of Aer Lingus that I have, partly because of the detail, the printing, the quality of the mold itself, but it's really nice. And as you can see, the nose gear on this one, the nose gear wheels are definitely smaller than the main gear wheels, unlike our Dragon Wing example. And the gear struts are gray, not white. So so that is the NG model, the single NG model that I have for Aer Lingus. I'm hoping they will put more of those out, so I can grab a few more of those. Alright, so moving on to the wide bodies, the smaller wide bodies. So let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Alright, so this one is yet another manufacturer. This one is Herpa, and Herpa does put out some, not many, but some 1/400 scale models. They're more known for their 1/500 scale models. And this one was a 400 scale model pretty much back in the day also. This one is an A330-200. Its aircraft registration is Echo India Delta Alpha Alpha. And its item number is 560634. And this one's name is Saint Kiva. So that's spelled K-E-E-V-A. So I think Kiva is right. Kiva, not exactly sure, but this one also is in the 90s color scheme. And these also have plastic control surfaces, and I'm pretty sure that the landing gear is also plastic, so similar to the Dragon Wings. However, even when compared to Dragon Wings, I would say the Herpa models in 400 scale were typically lower quality as far as how much details on it, just the overall shape of the model, and the printing wasn't always all that good. And I don't know if you've noticed on some of the other models, you can barely see the three-leaf clover on the tail there, because it's so dark that it's hard to see it, even though it is a different color than the background on the tail, but it's really hard to see. And the other thing about Herpa was that they would, they didn't do this with the other control surfaces, but the vertical stabilizer, it's not, yes, it's colored, but the plastic is colored. So the plastic itself is green, and the clover is the only thing on that tail that is actually printed on. So it's kind of a translucent green. Now it doesn't look like you can tell on the video that it's translucent, but if I were to open up the blinds that are behind it, you would be able to see that it was translucent. So the green on the vertical stabilizer itself is not printed on, painted on, or whatever you want to call it. It is actually the color of the plastic they used to create the vertical stabilizer. So it's translucent, and it's kind of annoying when you're trying to display it with other models. So okay, so that's the Herpa one. Now we move on to the next A330-200, which is from Gemini Jets. All right, there we go. And this one, I already said what it is. This one's registration is Echo India Lima Alpha X-Ray. Its item number is Golf Juliet Echo India November 362, and it's Saint Mila, M-E-L-L-A. Hopefully I said that right. And this one is a little better quality. You can even kind of tell. So on the Herpa one, sorry, let me try to get to the point here. So the cheat line that goes down the line for the windows is a slightly different green than the green that's above it. And on the Herpa model, I'm gonna pan back to the Herpa model. If you can see it, I don't personally see it. I'm looking at it through a very small window, but I'm also looking at it up close. You can barely even tell that there's a difference in the color on the window cheat line, if there is any at all on the Herpa model. On the Aer Lingus model, I can't see it as well. Actually, believe it or not, I can't see it as well in person, but on the screen I can tell that there's a difference in the cheat line along the windows. So there is some definition there. And of course, Gemini Jets is a little bit, at this point, this is a fairly old release. I probably should have looked to see what year this release came out. But it's a little more detailed, and their printing is, there's never really been much complaint about Gemini Jet's printing, other than cockpit windows not being placed real well. But it's a very good model, more detailed than the Herpa model of the same aircraft, but not exact same aircraft. It's not the same registration, but the same model of aircraft. And also the landing gear on the Gemini Jets one is better than the Herpa. The Herpa just has some, like, their tires are kind of strange too, and a little bit, the tires are a little bit chunky for the nose gear, where the Gemini Jets looks a little more proportional. So that's the one by Gemini Jets in the previous livery to the newest one. And then this one, I'm going to have to kind of turn this one so we can see it better, but we'll give you a look almost head on here. So this is the current livery, and this is an A330-300. The 300's registration is Echo India Echo Delta Yankee, and its item number is Golf Juliet Echo India November 1853, and its name is Saint Munchin, M-U-N-C-H-I-N, Munchin, Saint Munchin. And as you can see, it's in the current livery. I'm going to turn it around a little bit. And as you can maybe see at this point, they've done a lot more detail, like on the engine, in the engine strut down here, than the previous one. The coloring is really good, and the printing's really good. This mold isn't super awesome, but it's it's better than the previous Gemini Jet A330, and it's definitely better than the Herpa A330. And you can also tell that we have antenna on here. How accurate it is, I did not go into that before making this video, but definitely a lot more detail at this point. So that pretty much concludes my first fleet recording of fleet video. I hope you enjoyed. I really like Aer Lingus. I just not necessarily as an airline, I just like Aer Lingus. I like their colors, so that's why I collect Aer Lingus. Just really like the colors. Now I didn't pick up the NG A330 that was the delivery livery. I really just don't like that livery, even though there is green in it. So I passed on that one, even though I know that the quality of that release was awesome. But anyway, just one more quick side-to-side view of my Aer Lingus collection to date. I hope you enjoyed having a different video this time rather than just an unboxing. Not that unboxings are not fun, but I do mean to get more variety in my videos. It just hadn't really worked out that way, and since I actually have a full-time job and stuff, I also don't have a lot of time to dedicate to this. So eventually I'll have at least a fictional airport update. You can see some buildings, a couple of hangars there. That right there in the center is a freight house. I've got part of a terminal here, and then the airport that you saw in my introduction video is the rest of my airport. So with that, I will go ahead and bid you farewell. Probably won't have another video before the new year, so I hope everybody has a fantastic New Year's, and don't make any resolutions you can't keep, because that's just, you should only make resolutions that you absolutely positively plan on keeping. That way you don't get depressed when you after a month you aren't keeping your resolution anymore. But anyway, have a fantastic start to 2023, and we'll see you when I have time to make another video. Bye.